Hey everyone, how are you doing? Man, I love that intro. Isn't that cool? That's what you call the type of sounds that will get you definitely flowing. How are you? How's your Monday doing? So good to see you. I have not forgotten. By the way, I saw a great video on, you know, when you think about harmonics, you know, 420, so yeah, 423. There we go. Anyway, good to see you. Yikes. Like, hello. Yeah, if that didn't get your attention, wow. The years are working just fine. So, hello, everyone. Good to see you. Welcome, all you free thinkers. So glad to have you in the community. And how you doing? Hello, moderators. How are y'all? So good to see you. David, how is everything over on the other side of the pond? Maria Truth Seeker, good to see you, dear. KT, Infinite Frequency, so good. Hey, Joyce, hello. Sabrina, Paul, hello. Hey, Kaz. Kaz's mom made her transition on Saturday. And, Kaz, as I wrote to you, we wish her favor and much joy as she continues her journey. It's one that all of us will eventually encounter. And, well, the questions will be answered that way, won't they? Hopefully. That's our hope. So, Kaz, we're so glad to have you here, and much love to you, my dear. Hello, Big Al. So good to see you. Man, just, the energy today. Wow. It's not a negative. It's not, malevolent. Playful, if anything, I would be a word. You ever experienced an energy that's kind of playful, almost teasing kind of thing? Yeah, there you go. You know what I'm going to say, Lori? What a time to have been alive. And I do mean what a time. Woo! Ginger Baker passed over. I don't know if many of you know who Ginger Baker is, but was with Cream and Ginger Baker's Air Force. And yeah, we just wish him continue to play on, dude. That's all I got to say. Yeah. So, how's everything going? Let me just invoke favor upon everybody. Yes, we all need favor. We're going to be talking about banishing negative energy, Anyone experience that? No. Well, tune in and you can hear how the rest of us are. But in any case, yeah, favor. So protecting favor is what I invoke upon all of us this day. Full restoration, nothing missing, nothing broken be found in your life ever. So my weekend was devoted to doing some things, but I had a chance to really get into some reading. This book, The God Virus, yeah. Folks, if you're in here and part of this community, you are truly an antivirus. And it's remarkable when you think about the rarity of us. I came out of Christianity. I was, part of the name it, claim it, bank it crowd. That God was the banker and you were his favorite son. And so, and particularly when the infection lasts for decades, and then something happens. And for us who have made that transition, we know it's not a fun one. It's really not. When your core completely collapses and then you're left going, all right, where's the safety net? Yeah, we know that there isn't one. And then you have to start rebuilding. Well, Big Al, I always say that in that case, it always takes one to know one, right? That's cool. But something happens in us and the virus no longer takes. We, and truly, we're a remnant. When you look at the numbers statistically in the world, of basically the 4 basic religions, and then you look at us, where we're like, hey, if you want to believe that, that's fine. It's not my bag, but that's okay. We kind of here, we just accept you and, whatever turns you on, go for it. And we're such a small percentage. Yeah. We're truly, I don't know, however you want to term it, I say that we are truly, we're unique. We are. And we become the antithesis of the mutations of this thing called the God virus. And wow, it's it'll mess with you. So hey, let's I wanted to do this each kind of Monday, kind of just to set the whole week. I used to do this daily, but we got a lot of material. But so let's just all do this kind of as a group. And we'll just do this as a group. All these favors will come upon us and overtake us if we give voice to them each day. Favor will be with us in the city. Favor will be with us in the country. Man, I'll tell you, many of us know what that favor is like. Yeah. Saved our bodies, saved us a lot of pain and misery, and etc. Favor will heal our bodies when we speak favor into our body. Like I said, if you're cleaning your body every day, well, then, lay hands on it and speak to your body. Favor will set apart our children, our animals, our ground as favored with abundance of joy. I'd rather have happy feet than a sad frown. You know what I'm saying? Favor is on our food, our water, our pantry. Favor will walk with us when we go in and when we come out. Favor will cause our enemies to be at peace with us. Favor will be upon our barns and storehouses where we keep our valuables to prosper and to be in safety. Favor will be upon us in everything we undertake. Everything we set our hand to, favor shall cause it to prosper. Nothing wrong with that. Favor shall be upon all of our material property and shall cause it to last longer and not break. Favor shall protect us, our offspring, our possessions from calamity. Favor will lead us to good fortune in all things. Favor will cause us to be the head, not the tail. Favor will cause us to come out on top and not beneath. Favor will cause us to always be above and not below. Favor will cause us to have favor with the elements. Favor will cause us to be favored with the spirit realm. Favor will cause us to be favorable to everyone we meet. They will see us with favor, and favor will seek us out. And as we say, it will be created in my words, and what was said has been done. So, baby, There you go. Going to speak it in your life, no matter if you don't like it or not. It's going to be there because we appreciate everyone. We do. This community is growing. I listen in occasionally when I have working in the office, and been listening to some of Brian's programming over there, Milky Way Messenger, and some of the others, and yeah, growth, baby. That's all I got to say. We're a growing, and it is so good to see people reaching out, shattering the myths and the boundaries that, locked all of our minds. That's where fear really has the most effect. I mean, if it's something that's going to really harm you, that's not fear. That's just common sense. Get the hell out of there, right? But for the most part, professional warriors, they're known for the fact that they can focus so freaking intently on the worst freaking case scenario and do it all night. And, you think about that. That's a lot of psychic energy going into a future that regrettably so often comes to pass. That sucks. And it becomes a cycle because we're taught to fear. I mean, this whole realm is a realm of fear. We come in crying, going, oh, man, some say that we know what we're in for. If we do, that really sucks. For whatever the short circuit of the memory process, I kind of look at it as a favorable thing because we witness birth and it's not pleasant. Then I think most people are afraid of death because they think it's going to hurt. Well, let's see. I've had kidney stones. How many have, and ladies, those of you who have given birth, you know what pain is. Yeah, I mean, we all experience it. I don't know. The meningitis was a real bummer. I can tell you that was a trip on new avenues of pain that I never even thought possible. But yeah, so I think that's what everyone just kind of just goes, I don't want to do that. Well, start planning now. You don't need, sometimes for the proverbial waiting for your number to be called. If you've lived a life fully satisfied and it's everything, you've done what you're going to do, there comes a point where your age begins to disassociate yourself with the current happenings of the world because, like it or not, we are a categorizing species, and at some point I always look at it like that. Well, there has to be something else besides this. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. So what's up? Hey, Gary, how you doing? There's Regine. Good to see you. Marguerite. So let's get on with what we're talking about today. We are talking about, my friends, the area of psychic protection. And in psychic protection, there is a thing known as banishing. Now, if you're a practicing witch, magician, wizard, whatever, you know that if you open a circle up, a portal, you have to banish it. And one of the things that we learned, and we're going to continue to learn, because we're going to go into Sigil 2.0, is sigils. Sigils are powerful. I saw Joe had sent me an email on his sigil, that powerful thing. Any graphic designers would like to do some work on that, or guys who can do jewelry work, let me know. Not expensive stuff, because, some people can't, but this would be an interesting talisman, no doubt. So anyway, sigils are designed to do exactly what they are purposed for. I wear one around on me daily, and again, take note of this. Notice the double circle, and each one of those sigils have a meaning to it. And evil exists. We live in an imperfect, imbalanced reality, and it's just the way it is. It may be that with all realities. I was meditating this weekend, just the whole thing about perfectness. I never thought about it. It cannot exist. It's probably one of the most absurd belief systems that humanity has, is that we actually believe that there is something called perfectness. Paradise, maybe. But perfectness, again, if it exists, then there's nothing else beyond that. How frightening is that thought? Yeah, that ain't fun. We're aware of it. You look at one of the things I find fascinating, if you look at Roswell and the stories in the alien world of the conspiracy, that the ships that have been seen have strange markings on them. Well, I was looking at some material and I said, well, those look exactly like sigils. Obviously they're symbols, but they look very much like sigils as well. Our space program, the Chevron, every flight, every mission, all has sigilology to it. Well, that's a great word, sigilology, yeah. You can do individuals. We're going to learn how you can begin to banish even those on online in a way that they'll never even know it's happening to them. Because see, a person who is more base level into hate, anger, wanting to hurt others, they're at a very low level, and you can literally manipulate that. Because, as they would say in certain circles, they're very pliable. They are. Lots of different ones. Listen, the way I look at it, if something speaks to you, I mean, making your own sigil is powerful. I mean, don't get me wrong. But there are those that, some just naturally are drawn towards. And you can even have this as a standalone or incorporate it. I mean, we all know about the Eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye on the Hamza. It's, I always remember the double circle. If you do protective circles, or if you do, as a solitary practitioner, as I am, then just incorporate this. This is a powerful one. This one, notice that it's not actually a sigil, but it is. The points go into infinity. I thought this was a really good example of how incorporating, a number of elements that already exist in other ways. I mean, this is on all American money. We're going to get into, the sacred circle, how we can begin to not only cleanse, but banish any type of spirit, negative energy. Let me tell you, there are those who cross over that are angry. And, their journey is a different journey. But typically, what I have been instructed is that those are, again, they find others like themselves, but they have very little power on an individual scale. It just makes sense. I mean, if you have made the transition and you've made that transition into instead of one of welcomeness, gratefulness, thanksgiving, acceptance, you go in the other way, in a much more angry, violent, we all can do this. That's the separation. You're never going to be in the high places. Just ain't going to happen. So anyway, as they would say, something to think about. You know what I mean? But it's the truth. You go over there in that negative way, and I don't know, it'll be probably we see the manifestations, though we do. So anyway, how do we protect ourselves? Because sometimes, just like walking on a hiking trail, you can sometimes pick up a flea, you can sometimes pick up a mosquito bite, you can sometimes pick up a tick. And I'm speaking metaphorically as well. When you're amongst large groups of people, very easy to pick up hitchhikers is what they are. And sometimes they can just be there for decades. You wonder, well, why does this crap always keep happening? I mean, I'm doing this thing. I'm a good person, and you're just going, what is the deal? Well, I mean, we live in whether it's a plasma, electromagnetic reality, whatever it is, we know that those things, and energy is energy. You can have a positive terminal, you can have the negative terminal. And of course, when the two meet, that's when things happen. So, critical thinker, that's good. Yeah, you really should. And that's why I think it's important to have protection that, we wear. It's, I have mine, and actually I have a number that I have charged. And in certain situations, if I'm going into a place where there's a lot of people, I'll wear 2 talisman, because I know, and it comes down to faith. It really does. If you believe a thing is possible, you can make it happen. I mean, I was very well versed for that out of the religion I came out of. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Think about that. Now faith is, which means it's always now, in the now. It's how faith works. Now faith is the evidence of things not seen. The evidence of things not seen. The substance of things hoped for. Substance. You hear it's always been there. They took this from a much ancient knowledge. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith acting as though what was not seen is already real. You don't need a religion for that, folks. If you incorporate that into your daily magic, rituals, we all go through rituals every day. Don't let anyone, and don't fool yourself. We are ritualistic minded. I don't care where you are in the spectrum. But if you will learn that principle of faith right there and begin to apply it, calling those things that be not as though they are. You see, for me, it's what they call well impregnated into my psyche. I know those principles work. You don't need a religion behind it. I know they work. And that's why it's easily quoted by my consciousness. My subconscious knows it. That's why my subconscious and yours should be doing the same way. And if it, in fact, we have a superconscious, it knows it as well. Faith, calling those things that be not as though they are. So how is what I'm saying considered to be heresy in some circles when it's exactly what is, in fact, they are taught? They're just taught with a different flavor of the Kool-Aid, that's all. I just caught myself thinking of something. But anyway, but it's true. And if we could only begin to understand these principles, they work. And if you step back and you just look at it and you go, okay, yeah, they do work. Yeah, they do. No kidding. You know, I got a, and I'm going to try to get this to where we all can, haven't found this yet, but if need be, I'll even make the template. This is just a cool book. It actually, I want to show you. So you can actually come in here. It's 90 spells. Over here. 4. And what it has is at the top, whatever the spell is for. Then you have a little box, which you'll need to write down what you will need. What's your inspiration? Then you have a very large area to be able to write how to cast. And then you have another little section on the side that says the secret of success. And then you are to write what was the history? Did it work? Did it not work? What was the problem? And you see, something else I carry with me is that when you write something down, it becomes real. There was something back in the day, again, when I was in, I was really into the religion. I really was. I knew Habakkuk 2:6, write the vision down. Though it tarry, it shall come to pass on its appointed day. That's why, if you ever start a business, you write a business plan. You become very, you begin to materialize exactly what your words are. So, little thing. But anyway, we'll get more into this. It's just how it works. It's true. We're expecting up to 3 to 5 inches of snow on Thursday. How about that, folks? All right. So shall we move along in our reading? I wanted to get this because, again, she really gets into some great stuff. Again, this is the Guide to Psychic Protection by Mary Guiley. You can see it. It's listed in the description box. So let's get on with this. Unwinning Energy vampires. Not all cases of psychic vampirism are perpetrated by the calculating and malevolent individual. Some people are unwitting energy vampires. We've all encountered individuals from time to time who leave us inexplicably wrung out and tired. Anyone experience that? Oh, yeah. They go spinning along like little psychic tornadoes, sucking up everyone in their path and tossing them out drained and limp. Quite often, it's impossible to pinpoint exactly what it is about such persons that make being in their presence so exhausting. It's rarely anything specific that they do or say, and it's true. I mean, you have this conversation with others and sometimes yourself going, well, what is it? I mean, the guy's a nice guy, you know? Yeah. It's rarely anything, again, they say or do. These unwitting energy vampires often are bright and cheerful people. They have boundless energy and they have borrowed yours. Oh, okay. Dr. Edward C. Berridge, a homeopathic physician who was a skilled adept in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in England, documented many cases of psychic vampirism. In one case, Berridge was repeatedly visited by an elderly man of exhausted nervous vitality, who always made Berridge feel exhausted. It occurred to him that the old man was preying upon him. He was a toxic person and a psychic vampire, but an unwitting one. I don't suppose he was at all externally conscious that he possessed a vampire nature, for he was very benevolent, kind-hearted man who would have shrunk in horror from such a suggestion. Berridge wrote, however, he believed the old man was in other respects an intentional vampire, for he admitted to wanting to marry a much younger woman in the hopes of revitalizing himself. Well, that's interesting. Huh. Is that what all dirty old men are? I mean, and does that go for women as well? Wow. Hadn't thought about it that way. Psychic vampires are not things of the past or regulated to magical circles. They exist everywhere. A Chicago paranormal researcher, an acquaintance of mine, described such an energy vampire. I knew an individual who was part of a group of friends I was in. The rest of us determined that there was something definitely different about him and that he had the ability to leech off other people's energy. It wasn't obvious at first. It took a while to understand. It was nothing blatant that he did. His physical activity actually seemed rather low. Yet half a dozen people or more expressed the opinion that he was able to drain off energy. There was something about him that made him an exhausting to be in the same room with. He had this unwarranted intensity about him at all times. Everything to him was an earth-shaking ordeal. Not that he became overwrought, but he had this indefinable straining forward at all times. The simplest conversation would be pursued with this kind of grim and potting charge. It's hard to put into words because I never since met anyone like him. After a 15-minute conversation with him, I would feel like I going to bed exhausted. We took a dislike to him. I don't think he was aware of his effect and seemed baffled by others keeping their distance. Wow. I too have known individuals like this. One was a woman acquaintance who carried an intensity about her all the time. Everything that happened in her life, including the most trivial and mundane events, was treated at a crisis energy level that she wanted others to share. Spending time with her drained me. Another woman whom I met in writer circles in New York City had the uncanny ability to vacuum energy from people. Her conversation and mannerisms were ordinary, but when I was around her and engaged in conversation, I always felt she was somehow pulling energy out of me at the same time. I do not think that she was aware of what she was doing, but she was always full of energy herself. The unwitting energy vampire usually has no intention to harm others. Nevertheless, there are ways to protect yourself from this kind of energy invasion. Hostile entities. In some cases, dark entities are responsible for psychic attack and vampirism. These include, but are not limited to, demons, elementals, hostile spirits, and beings, and shadow people. The proliferation of paranormal reality, shows in which people are harassed by demonic and violent entities, may give some viewers the impression that this is a widespread hazard. However, many people will never encounter a hostile, non-human entities and spirits. Hostile entities can occupy haunted locations, including homes, and act out against whoever lives or stays there. In such cases, the most vulnerable person will be the first to experience unpleasant phenomenon in psychic attack. The longer the attack goes on, the more likely others in the house or environment will experience the effect as well. Some people get help to expel the hostile entities. In other cases, the entities resist all expulsion attempts, and the only solution is to leave the location. In a small number of cases, entities attach to people and follow them. The fleas, the ticks. Hostile entities also can be drawn to people by the wrong kind of spirit activity, such as summoning and ritual intended to invoke certain spirits. Sometimes individuals who play at summoning in hopes of getting a dangerous thrill wind up getting more than they bargained for. Hostile entities attacks do not occur without a cause. However, and the cause must be determined before the most appropriate remedies can be applied. The jinn. The jinn are a race of intelligent beings older than humans that share the planet with us. They have the ability to shapeshift and be physical and non-physical, and to cross from their parallel world into ours. The jinn, are Arabic for hidden ones. Most of the knowledge the jinn originate is in the Middle East, but the jinn known to Westerners as genies. They are everywhere. Some jinn like to meddle in the affairs of humans, and some are hostile and even malevolent. If crossed by humans, they may act out in psychic attacks. They can be summoned via sorcery to attack people as well. Well, that sucks. In the West, the jinn are often mistaken for demons because their behavior is similar and can assume demonic-like forms. There are exorcisms and banishments for the jinn. In cases of negative hauntings, where I have suspected or identified the presence of jinn, I have recommended consultation with jinn experts, most of whom can be found in Muslim communities. Makes sense. I've often said in exorcism, what? The spirits suddenly get converted? Weird one on that one. All right. Spirit board entities. People love to play with spirit boards like the Ouija board, a device for communicating with the spirit realm. People who are familiar with my work know that I consider the spirit board to be a neutral device. Using one is not going to automatically call in a negative spirit. Hollywood presents a much different picture, and films and television shows are full of true stories of Ouija activity gone bad. Most people will never have a problem with a spirit board. There exists the potential, however, that a hostile entity will be drawn to a board session, scare people, and not leave. The reasons why malevolent spirits drop in are many and often have to do with the players themselves and the circumstances under which they are using the board. Regardless of the cause, once you've got a nasty presence that won't go away after the session is ended, opens the door to psychic attack. Victims can experience a full range of symptoms described earlier. In my book with Darren Evans, The Zozo Phenomenon, we documented terrifying experiences with an entity that usually calls itself Zozo. Some of the victims never heard of Zozo until it spelled its name out on the board, and then went crazy on the players. That bitch be crazy, huh? When low-level entities like Zozo get a foot in the door, they can attach to a spirit, board, an environment, or a person. Remedies include getting rid of or destroying the board and cleansing the environment as prescribed in this book. As mentioned earlier, in regards to cursed objects, do not burn a board, but wrap it up and dispose of it by burial in earth or deep water or in a trash. In case of personal attachment, professional help may be needed to dislodge the entity and send it packing. Some spirit board predators are more interested in pranking, silly messengers, dire warnings, and poltergeist effects, and do not cause serious trouble. In many cases, they go away when forcefully ordered to do so, or they are put out of business when a board session is closed. Environmental cleansing are always advisable. The shadow people. Shadow people are dark entities, usually in the shape of humans, who make bedroom visits to terrify people. Sometimes just their manifestation at the foot of a bed or in the doorway will physically vampirize the victim. Sometimes they assault the victim physically by grabbing them, leaping upon them, or pressing down on them with a suffocating or choking effect. They can appear during the day as well and cause haunting phenomena such as black blobs seen moving through hallways or manifesting in rooms and poltergeist effects. The most common form taken by shadow people is a completely black silhouette of a tall man 6 to 7 feet in height, often wearing a coat or a cloak, sometimes a hat or a hood. They are described as blacker than black. Standing out against the darkness, they appear to have solid mass, yet they can turn into mist or smoke and vanish in an instant. I've studied shadow people for years, documenting their characteristics and the circumstances under which they manifest. I have related them to the jinn, a type of supernatural being that likes to pester people. They also have demonic characteristics. Their purposes seem to be vampirize the life force out of people when they appear. The victim is immediately frightened and an adrenaline rush sets in. I believe the shadow people draw off this energy for their own purposes. Wow, that's weird. Shadow people have been documented throughout history. Through the term shadow people is a recent origin. In the past, they have been described as dark ghosts, demons, the black phantom, monks, and nuns. Even earlier descriptions of the devil as the black man or the man in black could have been descriptions of shadow people. Shadow people attack humans for many reasons. Some are attached to land, and so any dwelling or structure built on top of the land will be occupied by them, and they will act out against the human occupants. Others find ways to attach to people when their auras are weakened. such as through illness or stress. Some have generational links, following family members from age to age. These cases are often related to spirit summoning gone wrong in the past. In my research on shadow people, I found that certain people who were under emotional stress and chaos seem to attack these beings. For example, individuals undergoing severe stress and trauma experience a spat of shadow people visits, which stopped when the individual regained equilibrium. Certainly, not everyone undergoing stress will experience shadow people, however. Elementals. Elementals are beings created from the four elements of nature. They are invoked in magical rites. Natural elementals are sometimes involved in haunting phenomena. The classes of elemental spirits and their elements are earth, gnomes, and pygmies, water, undines and nymphs, fire, salamanders, air, sylphs. According to the Swiss alchemist Paracelsus, all elementals have human form and can mix with humans, yet they have no relationship to humans and are not descendant from Adam and Eve. Who is? That's just me. They are not spirits per se, but are made in the image of man, with flesh, bones, and blood. However, they are higher than man, for they are of both the physical and spirit worlds. They are mortal. They live according to instinct and reason. Well, that's just weird. That's what we're here. We can talk about this. I mean, so what are these? I mean, I guess it goes back to that whole thing where we talked about, not all bodies, not all spirits are from the same place, same origin. Elementals can enter the human world, but humans cannot enter the realms of the elementals because the physical body is too coarse. Some elementals are generous to humans, helping them in tasks and chores and bestowing gifts such as treasures upon them. Others are hostile and create haunting phenomena and other problems. Elemental spirits can attach to people and can be commanded via ritual. In addition, artificial elementals can be created for different purposes, including psychic attack. Dr. Edward C. Burridge, mentioned earlier, also had experiences with energy-draining elementals. In one of his cases, a woman sought his help concerning her failing health. She had pursued spiritual development and had become passively mediumistic. That is, open to the influences of the spirit realm. Evidently, she had witnessed in her natural barriers, for she became susceptible to the draining influence of low-level entities. Burridge did some mesmeric hand passes over her to infuse her with life force energy, and he placed an envelope of the universal life force around her as a protective layer to shut out the negative entities. The woman's health and strength improved, and her mediumistic experiences stopped. She missed them and soon reopened herself mediumistically. She went into another health decline. After lingering illness, she died. Wow. Burridge said he was attacked by an attached elemental that he believed turned on him when he shut off from what the woman was doing. He wrote, "I have not yet been initiated into the Golden Dawn. Then, or I should have afterwards used a ritual for my own protection. About 2 weeks after I had a vivid dream that I was endeavoring to invoke an elemental, which attacked me, causing a sudden choking in the throat and an electric shock in my body. The dream had an astrological meaning, and at the same time, I believe it had a physical bias and that the same vampirizing spirit which had been preying on its victim determined to attack me in revenge for having thwarted its designs. Seems like they're a little touchy. Note, opening up mediumistically does not automatically result in negative entity attachment. There were other factors in the woman's health and life that enabled the elemental attachment to take place. Elementaries, okay. Elementaries are artificial beings similar to thought forms. Parclius distinguished elementaries from elementals. Elementaries are not part of the natural order. He said, but are evil beings created in the invisible realm by excess of human thoughts and emotion, corruption of character, degeneration of faculties, and misuse of powers. Holy crap! If that's how that's happening, what are we doing now? I mean, seriously. If you just add the exponential component of the internet alone to this, we could be creating hordes of entities that are attacking us, our species, humans. Yep, there it goes. Elementaries are dependent upon humans for existence and initially for survival. If they are nourished enough by human negativity, they gain an independence and can turn on their creators, draining them of their life force and vitality. Examples of elementaries are vampiric entities and sexual predators such as the incubus and succubus. If they attach to people like parasites, they can exacerbate mental disorders such as obsession and negative physical actions such as anger, aggression, and corruption. They can also contribute to physical disease. Fear, depression, self-pity, and feeling of victimization can open the door for attachment of elementaries. Well, I don't know. Parclius said, recovery is accomplished through a reversal of thoughts and emotions to the positive, which literally starves the elementaries and forces them away. Wow. Folks, we could just really expand upon that one right there. Maybe that's our question last week. We have, why is it that man can't solve his problems and man made the problems? Franz Barden, we know Franz, one of the greatest occultists of the 20th century, defined elementaries as astral beings created out of an element by a skilled person or adept. The creator imbues the elementary with some of his or her own consciousness, and the elementary feeds off that energy as long as it is active. The creator gives the elementary a name, assigns it a task, and sets a finite lifespan for it. When the tasks are complete, the elementary ideally dissolves back into the astral matrix. However, elementaries are intelligent, and if they are not strictly controlled by their creators, they will gain independence and go out of control. Is that why we're going nuts as a species? I don't know. Thought forms. A thought form is a non-physical entity or object created by thought that exists in the mental plane or the astral plane. We create thought forms all the time. For example, whenever you set your intention on a goal, you create a thought form that attracts what you are seeking. If the intention is strong and sustained and accompanied by action and perseverance, you reach your goal. You also create a thought form when you sustain anger or resentment and consistently criticize yourself as a victim. Wow. Well, that was worth the price of admission right there, folks. Thought forms are used in magic and the casting of spells for many purposes, positive and negative, including psychic attacks. Esoteric philosophy holds that thoughts produce two effects: a radiating vibration and a floating color form. The lifespan and endurance of a thought form depends on the nature and intensity of the thought. Most thought forms dissipate unless they are continually energized. They are invisible to most people, but can be perceived clairvoyantly. We're going to study about clairvoyancy. Anne Besant and Charles Ledbetter, theosophists and clairvoyants, said thought forms are four-dimensional in nature and therefore are difficult to describe in three-dimensional terms. Thoughts which are low in nature, such as anger, hate, lust, and greed, create thought forms that are dense in color and form. Thoughts of a more spiritual nature generate forms that have greater purity, clarity, and refinement. Besant and Ledbetter said that well-sustained devotion might appear as a flower with an upward curving petal like the azure flames, and devotional aspirations as a blue cone with the apex pointing upward to the higher planes. Wow. That is really pretty cool. On the opposite end, explosive anger appears as a splash of red or orange, and sustained anger as a sharp red stiletto. Jealousy might appear as a brown snake. The clairvoyant impressions of thought forms are not uniform or constant, but relevant to the participant and the situation. In general, positive and spiritual thought forms have pleasing forms and colors, while negative thought forms have unpleasant and repulsive features. Thought forms build up in a person's energy field or aura, creating the influencing behavior and characteristics. Negative thoughts weaken a person, even facilitating the onset of illness or spirit attachment, while positive and loving thoughts act as a protective, energizing shield. According to Besant and Ledbetter, selfish thoughts move in a curve, eventually coming back on itself and the person, and expending itself on its own level. Those who send out negativity run a risk of getting it back on themselves. On the other hand, unselfish thoughts move outward in an open curve, expanding as it goes. It is capable of piercing higher spiritual dimensions and thus become a channel through which higher planes pour themselves into the lower planes. This is how prayer functions. Thought forms called artificial elementals are created by ritual to perform tasks and errands and to be directed at individuals to protect, heal, or harm. To have an effect, thought forms must be able to latch onto similar vibrations in the aura of the recipient. Thus, someone whose aura is weakened with negativity might be vulnerable to a negative thought form or elemental. If the elemental is unable to attach, it boomerangs back to the sender. The duration and strength of the thought form depends on the strength and clarity of the original thought. Some thought forms have the capability to assume their own energy and appear to be intelligent and independent. Equally intense thought can disperse them or they can simply disintegrate when their purpose is finished. Some may last years. In magical practice, it is customary to charge a thought form with a finite lifespan. Well, all right, we're going to break it off right there. But wow, I did not know any of this. Did y'all? I'm sitting here just going, well, this is just freaking amazing. It really is. Wow. Well, what do you say to that? I mean, seriously. I don't know, as they would say. Now, I have some books that we'll take a look at on this, and we'll get a chance to take a look at more. But I'm going to have to go back and study some more on that. That was real different for me. Wow. Okay. Well, I hope that. Yeah, it is good stuff. Well, if you read it before, David Barry, you should be teaching it, man. This is stuff that people need to be knowing about. And if you've read the book, then if you've got a YouTube channel, teach it. Let other people know about it. And we'll gain a lot more wisdom from all of this. All right. Thank you, folks. What happened to thought forms and familiar spirits we create after we die? That's a good question. We'll get more into the book. I know she will. I've read a bunch into this, but still, I mean, it gives a whole new dynamics to this whole thing, folks, about thought intent. Wow, it's one of those that, well, it leaves you thinking. Tomorrow, Miss Trina will be on. Thanking you ahead of time. Thank you all for tuning in, all you free thinkers, you're beautiful souls. We're learning. And you know what? I just thought of something. If we can learn this collectively like we're doing, then collectively we can also implement it. Now, if I was a thought form, an entity, elemental, and elementaries, I would be concerned that a group of humans are learning and putting things together. Friday, Karen will be on, Queen of Quartz. So, folks, we're getting this ready. All this teaching should begin to be incorporated into whatever your path is taking. Well, thank you, Joyce. You are just beautiful. You know, we're just going to be a bunch of badasses here in a good way. But seriously, I mean, wow. Wow. That's all I can say. Going to be making notes. All right. See y'all tomorrow. Thank you. Be good to yourselves. I just invoke great favor and much love to you, and have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.